Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Stephanie Lazarus and tonight we are simulcasting on Yes FM. So warm welcome to our listeners, and I'm joined this evening by Zulfik Farzan and Chaturanga Hapuarachi from the newsroom. Good evening, Zulfik and Chaturanga.
Good evening, Stephanie. Today on the news tonight we will have an extended update on the heated exchange that surrounded Parliament and the incidents that took place yesterday in Parliament.
And we also have a story about a new flyover that has been vested with the public in the Ganemul area. And we also have a story, Zulfik, about the flyover in Rajagiriya and the effects of it for the general public of the country. Then, as we move on, we also have a story of the government, the Wemming Level project that we carry out. And many more stories will follow.
Indeed.
First, a look at the headlines.
President stands firm. He will punish the thieves. Sri Lanka Freedom Party speak out on turmoil in Parliament. Ugly scenes in Uber Provincial Council over allegations a teacher was made to kneel. Who is the actual leader of the Podujana Peramuna?
"225 public representatives are elected to this place right here, known as Parliament, to represent the people themselves in the decision-making process of this country. But, Chaturanga, yesterday in Parliament, something far different happened from passing legislation took place inside Parliament.
You're correct, Zulfik. I had the unfortunate opportunity of reporting what had happened in Parliament to our viewers yesterday. And as we received the information was completely absurd. To say that these members who are creating and making the rules of this country are acting in this manner was absolutely horrendous, Zulfik.
Yesterday in our news bulletin, we brought to you certain words that were mentioned inside Parliament. For instance, the word thief was repeatedly mentioned over and over again in the well of the Parliament. Now, Minister Susil Premajantha, a senior member of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, speaking to reporters today, explained how that situation, which unfolded yesterday, could have been avoided. According to the Act, as the person who appointed the Commission, the President has the authority to take decisions. But when delivering the summary of that report, the President said he would table it in Parliament. In the meantime, the Attorney General's advice was that it may take a few days for this, because they wanted to secure evidence pertaining to certain recommendations. There are written evidence for some of them, which could be in either the central bank or elsewhere. So if this report is made public before these material are safely secured, it could be easily accessible to the respondents of these charges. During the hearing process of this commission, certain people received threats. So the Attorney General's advice was that another week is required. On the basis the evidence has to be saved and ensure all safety precautions before making this a public document. Thereby, the Presidential Secretariat has informed this report would be presented to Parliament on the 17th of this month. I personally believe this should have happened before a date was decided on. All of those who requested for this document could have convened a meeting with the Speaker and held a party leaders meeting like they usually do. They could have cleared all doubts and agreed on when this could be tabled in Parliament. So if it has been decided on when it could be tabled in Parliament and when it would be debated, yesterday's issue would never have cropped up. You cannot accuse the Sri Lanka Freedom Party for this, because there were just 3 of its members when this happened. None of the SLFP members were called a thief, neither did they call anyone else a thief. At the time, we were all taking part in religious observances at the Jayashri Mahabodhiya. Yesterday's incident would have never happened if they had some patience. The other thing is, there is no need to make a statement at a time when a report is being tabled. There simply is a debate after the report is tabled. A statement could have been there if needed. This was what led to an unnecessary altercation, resulting in some of the MPs getting hurt. I saw some of them in plasters as well. The idea is to make laws, not to fight. It is those who do not know how to formulate laws who get into these fights. What else can they do? If they waited for 10 whole months, why can't they be patient for 1 more week until the report is brought here? What the Speaker should have done if he hadn't received the report as yet was to make an announcement, adjourn Parliament, and call for a party leaders meeting.
What about the Prime Minister's special statement?
Whether or not to authorize a special statement is completely up to the Speaker. There is nothing that we can say about that. So we should know when to and when not to make a special statement.
Minister Premajanta also responded to talks on the central bank suspending Perpetual Treasuries Limited functioning as a primary dealer.
A thief will steal a sum of 100,000 rupees and that 100,000 is later found. Turns out the thief has made another deposit of 150,000 rupees. So could you say he could have the remaining 50,000 and close the case? What they are trying to do is take this through a civil procedure and cover this up. This will not eliminate the criminal offence, it will remain the same. This is a crime which should be punished under the penal code. There is a section under the penal code which says a person could be punished for lying. And there is speculation that false evidence is given. For instance, if you lie before a magistrate court, you cannot return home. You are put back in your cell for a long time and given a charge sheet. This has not happened here.
Now,
Chaturanga, when all that heated exchange was taking place in Parliament, the President was in Anuradhapura attending a meeting of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. Now, at that meeting yesterday, the President made a strong point on the certain word called thief or rogues.
Yes, Zulfikar. Now, we heard a senior politician, a government minister speaking about what happened, what transpired inside Parliament yesterday. He also said that if people do not know to make the laws, that is why they go and fight. The President also had an interesting statement to make yesterday. If you missed it, we have that coming up for you. The President spoke about a tactic used by pickpocketers in the country. And then the President today spoke about the same topic in the Madirigiri area as well. Let's have a listen.
Both sides in Parliament are calling each other rogues. Unable to figure out who the thief is, a major altercation broke out today. You know, there were far more pickpocketers in Colombo Fort back then than there is now. These pickpocketers snatch the money out of the pockets of the innocent people while they are walking along the pavement. While the pickpocketer is running away, the owner of the wallet runs after the thief yelling that he has been pickpocketed. While all of this is happening, bystanders just look on as the pickpocketer is being pursued by the owner of the wallet. The pickpocketers then start shouting at the thief who is running away. This is exactly what is happening to politics in the country. However, the people clearly know who the thief is and who is not a thief. I am not biased towards any political party. I must make it clear all necessary decisions will be taken against the thieves, fraudsters and those who destroy state resources regardless of their positions. I will create the necessary background to hand on punishments to all of them.
Zulfik, that was a statement made by the President yesterday with regard to the incident that transpired in Parliament and the statement made by the President today in Madirigiri. Now, just before we heard the President, we saw how the Prime Minister of our country was acting inside Parliament. We also have another revelation to say the Prime Minister's actions. Have you heard of a situation where a certain member of Parliament threatens maybe the Speaker of the Parliament?
Chaturanga, I have never come across any such situation.
Let's have a look at this visual that we have for you and see what is happening here.
Okay, otherwise I am going to take you out of there. My mic on, man. Okay, otherwise I am going to take you out of there.
Now, who is the Prime Minister trying to put out? Who is the Prime Minister threatening here? Please bear in mind, it is the Honourable Speaker of Parliament who has the right to award any MP in Parliament an opportunity to make his opinion or to make a statement in Parliament. So, even in the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, Chaturanga, it is clearly mentioned how the General Secretary of Parliament is being appointed.
Now, when we usually look at a normal parliamentary session, we hear the speaker saying, this is the honourable member who is going to speak, and we also see the mic operator switching that particular mic on for that member to speak. So, Zulfik, you spoke about the constitution. Is there any provision in the constitution of our country for the Prime Minister to point the finger at the Speaker of Parliament and to say, I'm going to put you out?
I do not think so, Chatwangan. I do not think that has ever happened even in the UK Parliament, which is like the benchmark for all parliamentary sessions in the entire world.
The Prime Minister of our country also has been speaking about this Westminster system, and they are going to move into this Westminster system. But when things like this happen, is this a good example that we are setting?
I do not think so, Chatwangan. And also, please bear in mind, one cannot simply make a statement that he is going to put someone out. We can also mention that this is not something like a working committee. Please bear in mind, we are not targeting any individual political party in our presentation right now. What we are trying to say is, the party in question had great men like D.S. Senanayake, Dudley Senanayake, and so on. But what we are trying to point out is the questionable conduct of the individual person and not the political party. Now, yesterday we brought you certain footage of the entire heated exchange that took place in the well of Parliament. Now, our viewers, based in so many locations, are sending us more footage that is being circulated on messaging platforms and social media platforms.
We received a set of footages from Japan as well, Sulfik. That was very interesting to see that a person who is outside the country sending us visuals of our parliament, what is happening in our parliament, because people speaking to us over the telephone, over the phone, speaking to us over various platforms have been telling us continuously that yesterday's incident that transpired inside the parliament, the legislature of our country, is absolutely shameful, and this is not a good thing and not a good precedent to the youngsters, the young politicians who are coming up. We got this set of footages from a viewer in Japan. Let's have a look. Now, Zulfik, since these images, these visuals have been captured from various angles, you see a complete picture of what is happening. If you watch closely, you see certain key figures from people who are very famous in the political arena looking at what is going on with their hands tied in the back. And you also see another member of parliament coming and giving maybe a pat on the back and just saying hi or just saying bye or something of that sort. But the question here is, Zulfik, now when you take a look at this and when you observe what is happening, this seems like it is happening according to a certain script, as per the ideas, the whims and fancies of someone who has written down to say this is what needs to happen on this particular day in Parliament.
Shatwanga, when you say that, one thing comes to my mind. That is, you might remember how a road was closed when renovations... Opposite Sirikota, that road was closed for renovation spontaneously.
Yes.
Without any announcement being made. And also you might recall how certain individuals from top positions moved from place to place in what we would term as asking for help.
I think you're talking about a certain key individual going to the temple trees on the day of the election, and that person then going to Madamuluna in a helicopter, then hanging on to a window and speaking to the public. Our general public, the viewers, know what we are trying to say here.
They know what we're talking about. Now, Minister Susil Premajayantha, I'm sorry to...
No, you go ahead.
Minister Susil Premajayantha said only 3 members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party were in Parliament yesterday. Everyone else was in Anuradhapura accompanying the President and attending their party promotional campaigns.
We did not see any JVP members also.
Indeed, we did not see anyone from the JVP in the well of Parliament when this incident was happening. Now, the leader of the JVP, Anura Kumara Disanayaka, had a perfect explanation as to how last afternoon's incident transpired.
They gave it some thought. If these reports come and if they speak about the bond during the election, it will be advantage to Mahinda. If they speak about the bond transactions of the past, it is advantages to Ranil. If they speak about avant-garde, it will be advantages to Ranil. If they speak about any of this, it is advantages to the JVP. Both these groups discussed and said, let's do something absurd. When you start hooting, we will start hooting as well. When you scream rogue, we will also scream rogue. When you hit, we will also start hitting. This was orchestrated.
So, Zulfik, now as we mentioned these things that are happening in Parliament, obviously when the apex political body in our country, the members of it are acting in this manner, obviously the provincial council, local government level is going to take a look at this and take that example and to think that this is the right way to proceed and do things. Now we also know that millions of money is spent on each parliamentary session, each session of all these institutions with power. Now we hear of a similar situation in the Uva Provincial Council as well.
Indeed, Chatuanga, in less than 24 hours, the incident that took place in Parliament was set as an example in the Uva Provincial Council.
Let's have a look at what happened.
During today's session of the Provincial Council, UMP Uva Provincial Councillor M. Sajitrananda questioned the Chief Minister, highlighting media reports on the alleged incident.
The individual who was on screen a moment ago was not just a local politician from Pradesh Sabha. That was the Chief Minister of the Uva Provincial Council, storming out of the chamber saying all sorts of things. Now this is yet another example of public funds going to complete waste. An entire day's session gone to waste, and it is the public's money that is going to waste. Now the matter surrounding the Treasury bond issuance has reached a very critical point. And at this very moment, nurses attached to the Sri Javardhanpur Hospital have commenced a protest or a trade union action against the installation of a fingerprint attendance recording system. Now this trade union movement is being led by a monk who is attached to the Abhayarama temple and who is often met by the former president as well. Now all these incidents are happening, and for what use? The final decision of any matter lies with the general public. So the people of the country, it is you who make the final call. It is you who make the final decision when it comes to policy making matters and also any other decision making process. The final decision always lies with the people. It's back to Stephanie in the main studio.
Thank you, Zulfiq Farzan and Chaturanga Hapuarchi, for that comprehensive report. Time now for a short commercial break. A flyover constructed in the Ganemulle area was vested with the public today.
The flyover was vested in the public by Minister of Higher Education and Highways Lakshman Kiriyalla. The government of good governance is acting in a way that development is distributed evenly across the country. The local government elections are coming up. We will be able to see after the elections on the 10th of February. The people will give us the mandate. We will be able to show the country and the world. The construction of the Colombo-Kandy Expressway has begun. We hope to conclude the construction before the 2020 parliamentary elections.
The People's Action for Free and Fair Elections, or PAFREL organisation, held a media briefing in Colombo today.
Roads that have been forgotten all year have suddenly come to mind. We have plenty of complaints that the speed of road construction has been accelerated. We have some reports that these candidates are present at the construction sites. The real story is the contractor of that particular road is the candidate. In Ambalipitia, we heard of a chairman who is also contracted to do 16 roads. This is the true nature of these representatives. A significant number come into these local government elections purely to get contracts and make money. One candidate called me to say that his vehicle was taken into custody. I asked why. He said that he went to monitor a contract. I asked where the contract was from. He said it's a Pradesh Sabha contract. I asked him if he isn't allowed to do Pradesh Sabha contracts. He said no. I went to support this guy's contract. This is the situation. A significant amount of candidates are contractors, and some of them are former members too.
We have been constantly reporting to you on the situation surrounding the Rajgiriya flyover and whether the Rajgiriya flyover will serve its purpose to reduce the traffic in the area. Now I am going to show you the situation with regard to the traffic flow during the rush hour, considered from 5:30 maybe until about 7:30 p.m. each day. This is using Google Maps. If you go from Monday, this is the situation surrounding the Rajgiriya flyover. You can see it in red and dark red, a maroon color, to say that the vehicles are moving extremely slow. This is the same on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Now, to take a look at what is going on at the Rajgiriya flyover today, we captured this image from Google about the traffic situation exactly on the Rajgiriya flyover. As you can see, the entrance to the Rajgiriya flyover is demarked here as a red color, the roads in red color, to say that the vehicles are moving slow, and on the portion of the area of the road, the vehicles moving on the Rajgiriya flyover has been demarked with maroon color to say that the vehicles are moving extremely slow. We also know that the construction of the Rajgiriya Expressway was from the Sarana Junction to the Budgamur Junction, and the size of the Rajgiriya flyover was also reduced. Now, when we travel to locations across the country through Agammad program, through Agammad Wavingwad program, people come and ask us, why isn't the government investing money in actually doing something for the villages? Why isn't the government actually taking care of the people living in the villages? Is it because they do not have the money, or is it because someone is taking all this money and lining their own pockets? The question is a bit different here. Now, if they are able to construct the Rajgiriya flyover in this manner, reducing the distance of the flyover altogether, and if a certain amount of money was actually saved by doing this? We want to ask the people in power, the decision makers of this country, as to where this money went and what they're hoping to do with it. Now, there are politicians of our country. Just minutes ago we showed you how the politicians of our country are acting out in Parliament. We still have faith in a few people to say that they have their credibility still unmatched. Now, we want to ask a person, a Deputy Minister, Dr. Harsha De Silva, a person who we can still believe is coming forward before the media, before the general public and speaking the truth. We want to ask a person like Deputy Minister Harsha De Silva, what is going to happen to this money that you all supposedly saved from reducing the distance of the Rajagiriya flyover? That is the main question that we have today from our report. It's back to Stephanie in the studio.
Who is the leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna?
According to the Elections Commission, the leader of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna is Vimalgi Ganage. Professor G.L. Piris is the chairman of the party, while Basil Rajapaksa is the representative of the party to the Elections Commission.
First, our party is based on the principles of Mahinda Chintane. Second, our true leader is Mahinda Rajapaksa. G.L. Piris is the chairman. There is no party if not for Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Has Mahinda Rajapaksa obtained membership of your party, the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna?
Mahinda Rajapaksa has not obtained membership of the party.
This is a local government election, but apparently they are going to make Mahinda the Prime Minister. The villagers know about the team contesting in the village. Who gets into Pradesh Sabha? The candidate from the village. But they are saying when they contest, Mahinda will become PM. Absolute lies. You cannot choose the Prime Minister at the local government election. If he wants to, he can become the chairman of the Beliyatta Pradesh Sabha.
Today saw the 6th day of the second phase of the Gamen Gamata Vavin Vavata program, a journey to discover our ancient hydraulic heritage. Our attention today fell on a few more vavas in the Bellan Kadavala Ellangava area.
There hasn't been a considerable rainfall experience in this area over the past few months. Yet, the Timbalava Vava continues to maintain a considerable quantity of water in the Bellan Kadavala Ellangava. But due to weak management, the effectiveness of the Timbalava Vava has been limited. The main reason for this is the considerable damages caused to the Pitavana or the water outlet of the Vava. Our team also observed an abandoned Pitavana which seemed to have been abandoned midway a few years ago. The Gamada team also gathered the views and ideas of farmers who worked closely with this Vava and the entire Vava system. Plans had been drawn up to divert water along the Pitavana of the Timbalava Vava to the Koskalla Vava, which is another ancient Vava which has dried up. It was also understood that if the Pitavana of the Timbalava Vava was done up, it could even transfer water via Koskolla all the way to the Bellan Kadavala Vava.
The President's Media Division made a special announcement today clarifying the details on the President seeking the opinion of the Supreme Court regarding his term of office.
The announcement says two different views have been expressed in legal, civil and political circles about the President's tenure after the enactment of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution. The President's Media Division said in order to dispel this confusion, the President has sought the opinion of the Supreme Court regarding the actual term of office. The announcement says, according to the powers vested in the President under the Constitution, the President has the right to seek the opinion of the Supreme Court. The former presidents who held office had also sought the opinion of the Supreme Court during their tenures. It is a significant feature in the constitutions of democratic governance.
Well, that's a wrap of Primetime News. I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Up next is Vantage Point. Good night.